and welcome to this AE Basics tutorial in which we're going to look at one of the final things I'm going to show with the animators in After Effects text. Now sometimes we call this an AE Basics series, and it is an AE Basics series, but this isn't really basics, this is kind of more advanced, but you know, if you've gone this far then you'll begin to learn the idea of what's going on here and you'll have quite a lot of fun if you'll play with it. I'm only going to introduce this to you. I'm not going to go into great depth. I'm just going to show you how it works. Let you play with it yourself as you move through. Okay, so at the moment I've just got text. Okay, I haven't done anything to it. I haven't animated it in any way. This is just text, and I'm going to click the animate button, and I'm going to add, say, scale. And I'm going to pull the scale up, and then we've got our animator. Here's our range selector. Here's range 1. And inside that range selector everything is scaled. Brilliant. Now I'm also going to go to the add button. Now I've got options, I've got selectors. I'm not going to cover the expression one because that really is more advanced than we're going to deal with, but I do want to introduce you to the range selector. But to make the range selector work I actually need a second property really just to demonstrate it. So I'm going to go to property, and I'm also going to add fill color because that's nice and obvious. The fill color is red. We know the original text color is yellow, but the fill color is red. And now I'm going to select my animator. I'm going to go to add selector range, and I've got a second range selector inside my animator, and I can change the in point or the start and the finish point of my second range selector, as well as changing the beginning point and the end point of my first range selector. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up range selector 2 and select the start point, so that I know that these arrows on screen actually represent the actual range selector 2, and I can just scrub them if I want, or alternatively, because I know I've actually got it selected, I can stick it in the middle. So there you go. Range selector 2 is just on the is, but at the moment scale and fill color are applied to all of this text, range selector 1 and range selector 2. And this is where we start to delve a little bit more deeply into these advanced options down here. So range selector 2, I'm going to open up the advanced options and I'm going to look at the mode. And these are kind of like mask modes, but with text. So I can drop the modes down and I can choose, rather than add, where everything is all adding together, which is the default setting, I can choose subtract. And suddenly you'll see, you can see the selection point here, suddenly you'll see that that range selector 2 is subtracted from range selector 1. So if I now offset range selector 2 and pull it through, I can actually cause some quite interesting results by having that selector that intersects with the other. Now obviously I've still got that issue with spaces that we talked about before. Remember, under the advanced option we can go to characters excluding spaces, but I also want to do that for range selector 1 as well, to make sure that we haven't got some sort of bad intersection between them. So I want them both to be doing the same thing. Okay, I'm going to shut down range selector 1. So I'm now on range selector 2 and I can pull this through and create a different look because I've got one range selector intersecting with another range selector. Now obviously you've got more than one mode. You've got intersect, and you've got min and max and difference. And obviously you'll have to work through these yourself. I just want to introduce them to you to show you that they're there, that you can play with them, that you can have one range selector moving in a completely opposite direction to another one within the same piece of text, with different effects being applied inside the range selector that is added versus the one that is subtracted. Or alternatively you could be working with, as I say, intersect and have different effects moving backwards and forwards. As I say, I'm not going to go any deeper than that. I just want to introduce you to the fact that you can add a selector. Under add, you've got selectors. We've looked at wiggly, which moves things around randomly, but we've also got ranges, which means that we can have things inside our text doing something completely different from everything else there is around it, because we have selected a second range, set the range up, gone into the advanced options and changed its mode from add to something else, subtract, intersect, or whatever it might be. Do have a play with this. I'm not going to go any deeper. I hope it's introduced you this option. There are other bits and pieces we can play with. The best way of finding out more is to actually go up here to After Effects Help, type in your query and click enter, and have a look at After Effects Help to find out more about all these wonderful options so that you can create some really stunning text. Well, I hope you found this text animation series useful. We're going to be moving on next to have a look at paint options in After Effects. My name's Andrew Davis, and thank you for watching AE Basics on Creative Cow.